with respect to criminal justice reform. We were the first to make a policy change that we weren't going to prosecute small amounts of marijuana. And that was before the initiative came on the ballot. And so we're proud of that, not incarcerating people for low-level nonviolent offenses, as opposed to directing them to treatment programs and helping those folks. And with the people that we have been able to divert out of prisons, but into treatment programs, low-level nonviolent offenders, we're talking over 3,000 people with a 97% success rate. When I came into office, we said that we weren't going to prosecute death penalty cases. We have not done that because the death penalty disproportionately impacts not only black and brown folks, but poor people in general. We created a conviction integrity unit to make certain that people who have credible allegations of wrongful convictions, that we have safeguards in place to get those folks out, and we've exonerated people who in fact were wrongfully convicted. Also, we work with our law enforcement partners, but we hold our law enforcement partners accountable. And that integrity unit also prosecutes unlawful use of force with law enforcement. These are things that have never been in St. Louis County that I'm really proud of, and we'll continue those efforts.
Briefly share with us why your office decided not to prosecute Darren Wilson.
The Department of Justice, with the most resources of any investigative body in the world, investigated this matter and determined that charges couldn't be filed. And so, we're coming 6 years later. I don't know what anyone is expecting, but what we still did is that we went through the evidence. We did a thorough deep dive into the evidence. We made a call that if there was new evidence, because we heard rumors that maybe there was video evidence out there, that we wanted to know about it. And as a result, of that investigation, the evidence is what it is, unfortunately. And it's always tough for a family to lose a loved one and not feel that they're getting justice. And we deal with these kind of cases all the time, families that have lost loved ones. And when we are able to prosecute, this is the best job in the world. But when we're not, it's a tough job, but we have to move with integrity. We have to lead with integrity. And so I don't shy away from making the tough decisions. And that was a very tough decision, but based on the evidence, it was the decision that had to be made.
Talk to me a little bit about the body camera, because I know you were instrumental in getting that done. So, we weren't able to get that, but let's talk about the body cameras and other things that are being used now to prevent that from happening again.
And when I started talking to our law enforcement partners about body cameras and the need for body cameras, we did have a lot of pushback on that. But now what we're finding is not only does the public have more confidence in investigations when they're able to see what happened, but also even law enforcement now overwhelmingly supports it, because a lot of our law enforcement officers are doing this job for the right reasons, and they're tired of getting thrown in the mud because of the actions of a few. And body cameras have given us shed a lot of light on what is really happening and what is really going on. And they're so important, and I'm so proud of the efforts in Ferguson to get body cameras, but also around the region. A lot of our departments, as a result of broad coalitions of working together, have body cameras now.
Share with us your response to allegations your campaign is being backed by Republican donors.
That's just silly politics. Bottom line is, when you talk about campaign funds, they can't go to a campaign, an elected official personally. If you're benefiting personally from campaign funds, that will end you up in a federal penitentiary. And as a matter of fact, the only person in this race that's being investigated for misuse of campaign funds is the Congresswoman. Now, what's telling is what's on your personal financial disclosures. And all elected officials have to submit those in their public record. You can look at mine. My personal finance disclosures are just my salary. I live on my salary, and that's good enough for me. But the Congresswoman, who we know has done pretty well for herself since she's gotten to Congress, did not disclose her most recent personal financial disclosure, and she got an extension, so we won't get to see what's personally benefiting her until after the election. So when people want to talk about being bought and compromising, campaign funds can't be used personally for an elected official, but your personal financial disclosures, that's where we know what you're benefiting from, and mine are public record, the Congresswoman's are not.
Tell us why you decided to change your focus from U.S. Senate to U.S. Congress.
You know, we have some good candidates that are running against Josh Hawley because he needs to be defeated. And we got two good candidates in Lucas Coons and also State Senator Carla May. But the refrain that I heard from folks in this district and around in D.C. was that our Congresswoman is not working with the overwhelming majority of her constituents. She's not showing up. And this job is 70% showing up. And so that's why we come to senior homes. That's why we come to all of our stakeholders. That's why when I came into office, law enforcement, they didn't know me. They knew the other guy for 30 years. We didn't get that support. But 4 years later, we have the support of overwhelmingly all of law enforcement. Labor unions. She voted against the bipartisan infrastructure bill, which brought hundreds of millions of dollars into this district. And the problem that labor unions had is not just her vote, but also the fact that she wouldn't even talk to him. They couldn't have a conversation to talk about the issue, and that's why so many of these labor unions are supporting us. And we're proud of the overwhelming coalition of support that we've gotten in the 1st District for this race.
Tell us the difference between incumbent Cori Bush and yourself.
I think the difference is that I'm a candidate that folks know. I'm a known commodity, and folks know that I'm going to show up in the district. They know that I'm not going to shy away from tough issues, and I'm going to be sensible and I'm going to be thoughtful about issues, but most importantly, I'm going to represent everyone in my district. When I ran for county prosecutor, we took our message to every corner of the district, even in areas that we didn't have a lot of support, because it was important to us that folks know where we stand and that we hear those issues, and we're going to use that same approach of taking our message to every corner of this district, building coalitions, working together, because people are tired of the political gridlock. They're tired of nothing getting done, and they're tired of people just going up there to make headlines and be Twitter famous, as opposed to representing the interests of this district. And that's what you're going to get from me as the next congressman.
Final question: why should the community vote for St. Louis Prosecutor Wesley for Congress?
You know, because the folks in this district know that I'm going to show up for them. They know that I'm going to represent folks in this district, everyone in this district. They know that I have a mantra: I don't do anything I can't defend or explain. And it's disappointing to me that the congressman won't debate, and she won't debate because she has positions that she can't defend. I've never, in every one of my elections, I've debated, I've engaged, I take on those tough questions because I think that our constituents have a right to hear those things. And so our constituents have a right to know why the Congresswoman did not support the child tax credit, which would have uplifted over 300,000 kids out of poverty, why she voted against the bipartisan infrastructure bill, why she didn't support a resolution keeping terrorists out of our country. Those are the tough questions that our constituents deserve to know and hear directly from the candidates. And if I'm the next congressman, I'll never shy away from hearing from my constituents, and I'll always show up and represent everyone in this district.